Hello, I'm Sevil Mikhailova.
And I'm Claude Salhani, and this is This Week in Focus.
Whether Turkey is admitted to the European Union or not, the bottom line is that Turkey is playing a very important role in the region, and this is a fact.
Turkey has an important role to play in the regions, not just this region, because I think its influence is felt in the Middle East, in the Caucasus, and in Europe as well. So Turkey has quite a lot of influence that has been growing, particularly in the last few years, where U.S. presence has been waning. Turkey has left a void for Turkey to fill.
And also, Turkey's very good relations with Azerbaijan and now warming relations with Russia will enable it in the near future, in fact, to establish a very good and reliable alliance, which will have a very good economic and political power, I think.
Turkey is actually in a good position now because it's in the process of developing relations with Russia. It had good relations with the United States in the last few months. This has gone downhill where the President Obama and President Erdogan don't talk to each other anymore. But I think the time will come where Turkey will have to make a decision what it wants to be, because it cannot be at the same time playing off all sides as it's trying to do by being sympathetic to the Islamists in the ISIL in Iraq and Syria, being sympathetic to the Russians, being sympathetic to the European Union, the Arabs. It's mixing everything together. And I think the time will come down the road in the near future where it will have to make a decision as to where it stands.
To speak about these issues, we will be joined by two political analysts, one from Berlin, Svante Kornel,
and Yusuf Chinar from Konya in Turkey, Director for Central Asia Caucasus Institute in Washington, D.C. We are happy that you can join us to talk about important issues in the region, in the Caucasus, and Turkey's role in the region, which has changed dramatically over the last few years. Geopolitical map has changed drastically. So what is your take on what's going on? What can you tell us?
Well, the big change that's going on over the past decade, but increasingly clearly over the past 3 years perhaps, is the changing orientation of Turkey from a country that was firmly anchored in the Western alliance to one that is not only pursuing its own very independent policy today, but one that is also being motivated increasingly by an ambition of a leadership role in the Middle East grounded on the religion of Islam, on politicized religion of Islam.
Turkey had initially, when Erdogan came to power with his Justice and Development Party, there was a feeling amongst the elite in that group to take Turkey away from Europe and to make it into a regional power based more on the Arab world. That has gone away with the way things have turned in the Arab world. Turkey no longer holds that position of prestige it was hoping to get. How did you see that phasing out? Is Turkey going to turn more towards the former the Turkic countries of the region and look for its grassroots?
Well, you're right in your analysis that Turkey used to have a position of, or I would say Erdogan personally was a very popular politician in the Middle East, which was one of the factors on which Turkey was building this supposed leadership role, and it didn't really work out that way because of various conflicts with various Arab countries particularly. But your question implies that the Turkish leadership has internalized that change, and I don't think that's the case. In fact, if you look at the policies pursued by President Erdogan and Prime Minister Davutoglu, it continues to be very much built on this idea, focused on the Arab Middle East and on establishing a leadership role in the Arab Middle East. So far, they have acknowledged, if you will, tactical or problems or missteps on a tactical level, obstacles, if you will, but not a strategic, that there has been a problem of a strategic nature. And so far, they're continuing on the same policy. And I believe that this is actually a very long-term approach that's very deeply embedded, even on an ideological level, in the Turkish leadership.
Do you think that Turkey is really becoming a very powerful in the region and it is threatful for the West?
No, actually, I think Turkey's ambition is to become a powerful player. I'm not saying that they're succeeded. If you will, you can see in the past, perhaps 3 years that Turkey is actually gradually failing in its foreign policy in the region, and I'm talking about the Middle East. They have not achieved their goals in Syria. They have destroyed their relationship with Egypt. They have very cold relations with Iran. So, and even over the issues of Egypt, they have broken ranks with Saudi Arabia. So you see only Turkey and Qatar right now being on the same page. Turkey really doesn't have any other real partners in the region. They used to have a good partnership with the Kurdish regional government in northern Iraq, but the confrontations over Syria and Kobani also stressed that relationship. So I don't see this as a realistic prospect. I see this as, in a way, as a policy. I wouldn't call it megalomaniac, but it's one that is seriously underestimating, or should put it this way, they're overestimating Turkey's capabilities. And also certainly they have completely erroneous understanding of how the region views Turkey. I don't think that there's a great chance that the Arab world will suddenly embrace a non-Arabic country as their leader, but the Turkish leadership does not seem to see that as a problem at all.
They almost did. They almost did. I mean, there was a time when Erdogan was more popular in Syria than Bashar was.
Yes, but you see, that doesn't translate into political power. You could say that perhaps over a period of 10 years or 20, with Turkey implementing very serious, long-term, stable policies towards the Middle East, that could have translated into political power. But the Turkish leadership basically wanted to cash that check immediately, and thought that it translated into immediate political implications, which obviously it did not.
And how do you view Russia and Turkey becoming close partners today? So, as we know, the two are coming together, and they have already had a real energy project, which was called Turkish Stream. How do you view this move?
Well, there are two aspects of the Turkish-Russian relationship. The first is that the Turkish leadership basically respects Russia, respects Vladimir Putin. That is one of the explanations to why Turkey and Russia on some issues agree and on some issues disagree. For example, regarding Syria, there is very deep disagreement, but that has not been allowed to undermine the bilateral relationship. And that part of the explanation is that they are actually very careful not to go too far in criticizing Russia. Number two is that they feel a commonality of being anti-Western, of being the powers at the edge of the West, which are being badly treated by the West and so on, which is bringing them together. And the third fact, and regarding especially the pipeline deal that you mentioned, is the fact that Vladimir Putin knows very, very well how to manipulate Turkey. So he saw that the South Stream project was not going anywhere, was not realistic, was not happening. So instead of pushing or running into a wall with that project, he turned it in such a way that it would further help his policies of, if you will, sowing distrust and division within the NATO alliance, and aligning Turkey up in some ways with some of his objectives, and getting Turkey further away, or further pushing a wedge between Turkey and the West. I think that's what it's about.
If you had to take a guess, if in 5 years from now, would Turkey still be in NATO?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Turkey will be in NATO because it's not in anybody's interest right now to remove Turkey from NATO. Turkey, as I said, wants to have it both ways. They want to play the Sunni Islamic foreign policy while maintaining the NATO connection. Right. And from the West perspective, having Turkey in NATO for the foreseeable future will be much better than having Turkey out of NATO.
Do you see Turkey in the EU in the next 5 years?
I think the whole project of a Turkish EU membership is dead. I think that is basically being kept on life support, both by Turkey and the EU, because nobody wants to formally cut the relationship. But I think actually on both sides, including in Turkey, there is growing consensus in private discussions that maybe Angela Merkel was right, and that a privileged partnership between Turkey and the EU is where this relationship eventually will land. But nobody is prepared to say that publicly yet.
I think you're absolutely right.
And what about the relations between Washington and Ankara? Over the past period, we indeed observed a cooling in the relations of these two countries. How do you view how do you see are the two will come to closer in the nearest years?
Well, I mean, the Turkish-American relationship has never been closer on a personal level as it was between Obama and Erdogan for a good number of years. Mm-hmm. That's ended basically with the Gezi Park riots in 2013, and now there is basically no communication at the top level. So I would say that that's one element. On other elements, the Turkish-American relationship is very much in flux. Now, what I mean by that is that there is increasingly an understanding that there are no common values underpinning this relationship. It's a purely transactional relationship. And not only is it purely transactional, but it's also a relationship in which the anti-American rhetoric of the Turkish leadership is constantly growing, which is very much against the principle of a strategic alliance of the form that we know about that has been the case in the past. So that's certainly a problem, and I don't see it improving anytime soon.
How do you view Azerbaijan's position in this geopolitical map in the region, taking into account the last development in the globe?
Yes, well, I mean, I spoke about this last week when there was a hearing in the U.S. Congress about Azerbaijan. And the main point that I was making is that Azerbaijan, together with its neighbors, but particularly Azerbaijan, plays a key role in the two major challenges that the transatlantic alliance is facing today. To the north, you have Russia's growing imperialism, which is right now focused on Ukraine, but Ukraine is only the symptom. It's not the only issue. It's a much broader issue. To the south, you have the growing Islamic radicalism of the Middle East, exemplified by ISIS, but also to a lesser degree by the continued Iranian ambitions for hegemony over large sections of the Middle East, and the growing unreliability of Turkey as a Western ally. And in this situation, I would say that the Caucasus corridor, and particularly Azerbaijan, play a crucial role that is not quite understood in the West.
Yusuf Chinar, welcome to This Week in Focus. We'd like to have you help us answer some questions regarding Turkey's role in the region. You are the president of the Strategic Outlook International Research Center in Turkey. Welcome to our show.
Mr. Chinar, we'd like to start with Turkey's role, Turkey's policy in the region. How would you describe Turkey's policy in the region?
Turkish policy, foreign policy, very pragmatic in the Middle East, I think. And also, if we compare Cold War, Turkish foreign policy is very independent. If you look at Cold War term, Turkish foreign policy depends on USA interest in the Middle East. But now, Turkey wants to set up new relationship with Russia, China, and other regional countries. And therefore, now we are talking about Russia relations, and also we are talking about Shanghai cooperation. These steps are very important. Also, Turkey's, Syria crisis is very important for world, for region countries, and Turkey wants to see stability in the Middle East.
Mr. Chinar, you said that Turkey is pursuing a very independent policy now, and you even compared it to its previous years and previous period when it has absolutely different allies. How it could achieve this change in its policy to becoming more independent, let's say?
I think if you look at world policy, international politics is very important in this area, I think. For example, China, Russia, and BRICS countries want to make something against USA hegemony. But if we want to set up unipolar, Turkey shouldn't support unipolar, because multipolar system is providing more advantages for Turkey. You know, if you remember that Cold War, Turkey has only interest in NATO and USA interest. But now Turkey is developed new strategy. For example, Russia, Blue Stream 2 project is very important. Also, TANAP is very important concept for Turkey. Also, Shanghai cooperation is very important for Turkey now.
So do you think that these economic projects or its active participation in global energy projects made Turkey's policy independent?
I think, for example, Turkey imports about 98% oil and natural gas from foreign countries such as Russia, Iran and Azerbaijan. But this market is growing. For example, Turkey imported 17 billion energy by 2002. But end of 2012, Turkey imported about $64 billion. This is very important. And also, when AK Party came to power, trade volume between Turkey and Russia was about $5 billion. At the end of 2003, trade volume increased and $32 billion.
How important is Azerbaijan for Turkey, do you think?
I think I want to say some problem energy with Russia and Turkey, and after that I will say why Azerbaijan is important for Turkey. For example, you know, yes, Turkey wants to develop a relation with Russia, but there are some problems.
You just mentioned about disadvantages of the Turkish stream, so you are mentioning some figures even which is not in favor of Turkey. So maybe this is a fact, but irrespective whether Turkey will start this Turkish stream with Russia, it will enter into an economic alliance with Russia. The fact is that Turkey has another pipeline, Southern Gas Corridor, which it is in the point of realization with Azerbaijan, and they're going even to lay the foundation in the very near future. So how do you think, what role will play Turkey for Europe after realization of this project, at least one of these projects?
And I can say Azerbaijan's TANAP project is very, very important for Turkey, for Europe, because European Union's dependency on energy on Russia is increasing, and they want to create new alternatives. And TANAP project is a very important alternative for European Union. And but when Blue Stream 2 came to media, and when we analyzed this project, maybe Turkmenistan gas will be affected negatively, because when Russia gas came to Turkey on Europe, and when Turkmenistan gas came to same places, Turkmenistan gas probably it is very unnecessary for Europe, because it is very expensive if we compare. So Azerbaijan gas probably would be continue, but Turkmenistan gas would be lack of, I think, in this project.
Sorry, but Azerbaijani gas is unable to cover the entire demand of Europe, so Europe still depends on Russia, and it will need another pipeline coming from Russia just to meet its demand.
I think relating with the Ukraine crisis, because only one pipeline has European Union with Russia on Ukraine, but now Ukraine relation is not good for Europe and for Russia. So Russia tried to develop new alternatives, because when Ukraine cut off the energy, Russia cannot carry it. But Azerbaijan in this project provide more cheap natural gas to Europe, and also Azerbaijan and Turkey relations will be very important for the region, energy relations with the Europe countries, with the Russia, with the Iran.
Where do you see Azerbaijani-Turkish economic relations going over the next 5 years, say?
And this is very important question. Maybe if you ask this question nearly 30 years ago to me, I can say we are a big brother for you. But now I am not saying we are big brothers for you. We are brothers. So this is very important. So we are supporting Azerbaijan, and also Azerbaijan is supporting to us. So economically, especially petroleum and oil sectors should be compared and should be increased our relations importance. So in the future, inshallah, we will see that Azerbaijan and Turkey would be very important in the region for energy corridor for the Europe.
Mr. Çınar, I have on this very point I want to ask. So you just mentioned about you said about Azerbaijan-Turkish reliable partnership, and you said that this can be a very reliable source to supply gas to Europe, and you think that this Azerbaijani sponsored Southern Gas Corridor is most reliable pipeline to supply energy resources to Europe. So how do you think it will of course increase Turkey's role for Europe, and how do you think will it trigger Turkey's EU membership aspirations, and could EU change its position in this point?
Thank you very much for this question. Transatlantic investment partnership with the European Union, this project is very important, and in the future, USA and European Union will be close than today. And if Azerbaijan and Turkey will play important role in the energy corridor, Turkey and Azerbaijan will be important than today. And but we have one problem. Turkey is not member of European Union, but Turkey is a member of Custom Union. Yes, we have a lot of advantages coming from Custom Unions, but we have a lot of disadvantages. If we are member of Transatlantic Partnership, this project will be provided a lot of advantages to Turkey. But if we exclusion from Transatlantic Partnership, Turkey and Azerbaijan would be affected negatively.
Mr. Çınar, and my question in this point, so where do you see Turkey in the nearest 5 years?
I think Turkey is a great country. Turkey is the largest army has in NATO.
Exactly.
And Turkey is a candidate country of European Union. And Turkey is a very important country in the Middle East. But Turkey should produce new policy for Middle East. Because, especially Syria crisis is going on, and we have a lot of problem with Syria, we have a lot of problem with Israel, we have a lot of problem with Egypt. And also, if you focus on Mediterranean Sea, especially Cyprus, Cyprus is sitting very largest energy resources, natural gas resources. And they want to make collaboration with Syria, with Israel, with Egypt, with Greece, but Turkey there isn't there. So it is very important. If we improve our foreign policy with Iraq, with Syria, with Israel, Turkey would be very powerful than today.
Do you think that given the current government that you have in Ankara, a possibility of a rapprochement with Israel is possible at all?
Yes, you are right. Erdogan has not good relation with Israel, but election is very soon in Turkey. In nearly 4 months after, we will take our election, and Turkey should develop new strategy for Israel. Maybe I don't know, but maybe our foreign minister can be changed. Maybe our ambassador can be changed. We can change, but we should contact Israel, Egypt, and Syria. I focused on Mediterranean Sea energy resources.
Yes.
If we don't establish new relation with Israel and other regional countries, we cannot be powerful.
I think so, and once more we get assured that really geopolitical map of the world is changing a little bit.
I think it's changing a lot, actually. It's been stagnant. The Cold War has kept things in the freezer, so to speak, for all these years. The Cold War has kept things from moving. Everybody knew their place during the Cold War. There was a limit where one could go. Borders hadn't shifted, and all of a sudden things are different, and there seems to be almost chaos. It's chaotic what's going on.
Yes, some countries are now in the winning part, and some countries on the losing part, but others, in fact, are trying to find their places in the political map. So, but the time will show, and we'll see who will find its right place on the map.
I think we are. You know, it's very hard to realize when you're living in history. I think we're living in history.
We are living history, in fact.
We are living history right now, and let's hope that this will lead to a better tomorrow.
Goodbye.